Welcome to the Epic Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shannon Irvine. So I'm coming back to you again this week. This is a continuation from last week's episode. Hopefully you caught last week's. If not, we'll link it here in the show notes, where I'm really talking about what I feel like people are being called to, what I feel like I am being called to. And this piece of leadership, this piece of really understanding how we're wired, like, are we cross-wired in some areas that have held us back, and how to flip the switch in your mind to where you have all the energy flowing toward success, toward vision, toward service, toward generosity, toward the things that make a difference in this world. And that's what we're going to be breaking down today. How can we really use this season to train into our thinking a success switch, a way to turn on success permanently in our brain, to no longer be available for the speed bumps or the cross wiring that's been holding us back, almost like taking the reins off, so to speak, and removing anything that's hindering you and releasing you into this next season of success. I believe that God is raising up leaders during this time. I believe God is raising up people who are meant to do big things on big stages to help multitudes and multitudes of people, from the smallest of small groups to the biggest of big stages. Transformation is going to be coming out of this season. I believe it to the core of my being. And I want to call you forth into that. I want to speak into that. So that's what we're doing today. I hope it blesses you. Please, of course, as always, I am always in my DMs. Please reach out and let me know how this podcast is impacting you. But here we go. What I'm seeing a lot too, and I've got to guard my heart on it, I think we all do, is if we're being available for other people's opinions, whether it's the news or someone online, if we are not being the creator of our thoughts, if we're not creating the thoughts that create the business that we want, then we will assume somebody else's opinion is truth and then act on that opinion as truth. And then we will get the results that don't align with us and wonder why we're in stress in our business, you know? Yeah. And like, I'm just a little, give the little antithesis. When this thing all went down, I was immediately going, how are you, to my people, and listening to what they were saying, and just not from a place of like, oh my gosh, I've got to pivot but from a place of, oh my gosh, like, I want to have a safe place that people can listen to amazing human beings and ground themselves back in the truth. And that's what these panels have been about. But it's been also this weird season of like massive creativity, because beyond these times and beyond the times that I'm doing my mindset mastery workshops, which I'm doing every week just to serve people right here where we're at, which I would be doing anyway, and serving my clients, I am like with the family, and then I'm sitting there with the family and we're relaxing, and then like downloads of all these amazing ways that I can serve my people and serve. And it's because I'm slowing down to speed up. Like I'm just slowing down. And so I'm hearing more that I was moving too fast for before. Media is just any place that eyeballs are, right? But a lot of times it's TV, it's print, you know, and where before we were pitching, right? We were just like, hey, here's an idea to different people. I think it's that connection. Now, all of a sudden, all those connections that I'd made with Forbes editors and Success Magazine editors and all those people that I've been serving and randomly sending things to, they're reaching out to me now and saying, hey, can you do an article about what's going on in our brains when we're in this state? Hey, and like, it's just blowing up because it's mostly in the genre of what people are looking at, how we're thinking and how it affects our future and our success, and how you can train your brain now. That's like, oh, I can do something now to actually prepare myself. And that article just went up a few weeks ago, and it's the number one article that she's ever had online, because people are wanting to know those things. So, because I guarantee of people who are listening right now, or there's probably something that different people have thought of that thought, wow, you know, what if, and I was just talking to my husband about this. I'm like, let's use this time, you know, because he's a high level executive. So he's looking for that same level. And that's going to be an interesting journey for him, his journey. We're supporting him, of course, through that. But like, what problems are there out there that people need to solve? And who says you're not this person to solve it? Like, for such a time as this, what if that is what you're supposed to help solve in this world, right? Not pulling off of if you're going and you're on your train and your train is serving, do not get off your train like that, right? That train needs to serve. But I've had some pushback, like not everybody's feeling called. I'm like, yeah, because they're living in the sympathetic nervous system. They're living in the fear and feeling the feelings, which are being created from the thoughts that the world is ending. If the world is ending, who cares? So like, let's just
a good quote.
Box off. Like, there's nothing we can do about that. But what we can do is like really manage our thinking and lean in. This is leadership. Like, leaders are made in tough times. Think about the greatest leaders that you could even think of in our country, in America, and across the world. Like, those leaders were built during wartime. Those leaders were built during struggle and depression and different times of tension. That's when those people were really built, that their leadership, they stepped in when other people retreated. And so I'm really calling people and myself. So at the same time I'm saying this is like literally a mirror sitting in front of me on a daily basis. So I always am really real with my tribe. Like, everything that I'm saying, I'm doing. Everything that I'm standing on a soapbox and like so passionate for you to get, I'm standing in front of the mirror in the morning, passionate for myself to own. So like, it's not like it's like we're embodying it 24/7. And yeah, Caitlin, leadership does look different for everybody. Leadership could look like showing up for your family and not melting down today. Like, that could be like true leadership in the moment. Or leadership could be like, no, I'm going to continue to believe my business is going to grow even in the face of this, and I'm going to take those actions. Even, here's the biggest illusion, right? We believe that if we're in alignment with what is right and good, it should feel like rainbows and unicorns and sparkly sprinkles. And the reality is, I think everybody on the panel that's been on the panel that's still here would say, in those moments where I've stepped in and created the best things, there was massive resistance. There was tension for me to want to go back to my old ways. There was that energy of pull. We call that cognitive dissonance, right? I want this. My brain is trained to bring this. Why do we think there's not going to be tension? Because the world produces and gives us the story that everybody just arrives and is successful. And that is the biggest lie of all. The reality is your success, and I've been, again, in the mirror and then to my tribe. I need you to hear that. Like, this is a moment by moment for me, but the creation of the success that's going to come out 3 months, 6 months, a year from now is being created in your thinking right now, in this moment. In this pivotal moment, in this time that, Lord willing, on my knees, praying that we never, ever, ever, ever see this again. But yet I am still grateful for it. I'm closer to my children. I'm closer to my spouse. I'm actually dealing with things with my spouse and actually in a relationship versus a drive-by community with my spouse, which is kind of what we can get into at times. I'm looking at my business and saying, what do I freaking love that I am tripling down on, quadrupling down on, and what do I not love that I am letting it go? And I'm leaning into my faith more than I ever have before. Like, it's obvious we don't have control. The illusion of control is heavy with the entrepreneurs because that is a high value of ours. Freedom and control. Like, that's why we are not employable, because we don't like people telling us what to do. We like to be the ones that like create, right? And then we like to create with others. But I just want to like encourage you that right now you really can be building the success pathways in your mind that will create everything that you've wanted, but your brain has to believe it before you can see it. Like, that is how we are literally wired within our brain. If you are repeating the thought that you're afraid, that it's not going to happen, that you're going to go down, that there's going to be destruction, that it's not going to work, what you're doing is feeding that system that combines with emotions, and enough repetition becomes automated in your subconscious. 80 to 90% of those daily actions and decisions get created from that place. So I don't know about you, but I'm having to like guard my heart and guard my mind and like consciously choose my thinking each day. And when I slip, when I start to go down a slippery slope of what if, or am I ready, or can I, or those kind of questions, I realize I try to grab it right in that moment and just say to myself, what am I creating? what am I available for and what am I not available for? Because if you leave that on autopilot, the availability that you will be for is everybody else's dreams, decisions, and ideas. And then that will get automated in your subconscious. And then you will perpetuate that 3 months, 6 months down the road. What you're seeing in your environment right now is just evidence of what you trained into your thinking 3 months or 6 months ago. And so I pray that there's never a collective pause like this ever again in terms of the slowing down. But given that the whole world is slowing down to a degree right now, I would just really encourage you to master your mindset right now, to like use this time, whether it's, wherever you're at, like let's say if you're in a coaching, like double down on that coaching right now. If you've thought about like, it would be great when I had extra time to really work on a success mindset or thinking like this, or really building up strength in my mind, habits in my mind, those kind of things. I would say that is your most important purchase right now, in my opinion, because you can not, the only thing that you have that creates more time and more money and more energy is your brain, is the thing that operates it all. You cannot create more time without your brain being part of that process. You cannot create more time. And it's interesting, this dialogue of time right now, time has not changed. It's still the same 24 hours in a day, but yet our perception of time changes. That starts in your thinking. That's our perception of what's going on, and thoughts create emotions. Those combine to become a belief. That repetition of that belief gets automated in your subconscious. So I really, again, in the mirror, and then also with my tribe, just saying, I choose this thought, I choose this outcome, and I am going to practice it, because practicing that instead of being available for the other is actually going to be what creates the future that I want. Like, I have a future that I want. I know you have a future that you want in terms of relationships, in terms of health, in terms of your business. So use the time to, like, if I can give any like piece of advice that I am personally doing, and I'm having every one of my students do right now through some sprints that we're doing with each other, is if you've not defined your vision in those areas, if you've just kind of done it, like, it'd be nice if, and you've never actually written down, like, this is exactly where I want to be in my business, in my health, in my life, I would really encourage you to lean into that heavy right now and give it so much texture that you could almost feel it. Like, okay, don't laugh. You guys are going to laugh, and it's okay. Go ahead and laugh. Really, it's actually all right. So, like, I know what it feels like to be on Rachel Hollis's stage right now. Like, that's my bucket list in 10 years, but I can feel it. I can feel the tension in the air. I can feel the butterflies in my stomach. I know exactly where we're going to go afterwards, what wine I'm going to have. I know what that wine tastes like. Like, I know that sounds like silly, but your brain starts to see those things as actually coming true. It starts to pull it to you versus you trying to push your way to that. So I really am encouraging people right now to, allow yourself to slow down, to speed up, allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to be available for the things that you really, really, really want, because you actually have the ability to start creating them from the inside out right now. And I love that we've all kind of been mirroring that conversation, and I'm looking around the room, and I know every individual on this call today has done that work and continues to do that work on a daily basis. And that is what's created the success that they have been able to put out in the world, and the geniuses they have in the world. We're all coping differently. And the reality is we are going to the refrigerator and the pantry more because it's physically in front of us. Like, it's there, where before it wasn't, or we'd be moving more, like exchanging, or just, still do Netflix, still go ahead and sit on the couch and do what you do, but go for that walk first. Then you get that boost of good hormones, maybe drink a lot of water. And it's interesting how your choices do shift. So it's almost like an ad, right? Add that first. And we're putting greatness out in the world, and we're depleting ourselves personally. Like, eventually that runs out. So we don't always see the connection. A lot of people do, but a lot of people don't see that connection. And I know for me, like, the first week I was like, okay, 5 o'clock is wine. I'm having popcorn with the kids. Like, and I did that for a week. And then I was like, I'm not sure I want to have this get triggered, right? So we know the brain triggers and then we have cues and cues create that. The couch at night for me was always a cue. Julia knows this. It's like the kids went to bed. I deserved whatever, fill in the blank, right? Because it was finally quiet. So I just love that Julia's bringing in like, how do we navigate this season, not beat ourselves up because we're not working out 100 times a day. Like, that's not what you want to do. Like, be gentle with yourself. Don't feel bad, but also add some of these life-giving things like magnesium, like walking, some of the happy hormones. Like, it sounds funny, like go hug people that you love, but it actually does deplete vitamin D if you don't do that. There's actually a physiological connection to that. I believe this to the core of my being. Like, I believe that I love my husband. Like, I believe in God. Like, this is the core of who I am in terms of an entrepreneur. I believe that who you are is going to attract your tribe. They are not going to be drawn to me. They are not going to be drawn to other people. They are going to be drawn to you, and they're waiting. Like, this is where I get tough love especially to my neuro coaching certifications. And so I'm going to speak to you. I love you, but I'm going to speak to you. Like, they're waiting for you. You're not going to miss out because Susie or Linda or whoever decides to get in front of you because they're not you. Remember, people are drawn, our vibe attracts our tribe. People are drawn to us because of who we are. There's a million people that do mindset. There's a million people that teach online entrepreneur growth. There's a million people that teach health. The people that follow Caitlin and Julia and me are because there is this connection, this like, I could hang out with you, you're my big sister, or whatever that feeling is that you trust in me and you trust in other people that you follow. Your same tribe is going to do the same thing. The most important thing, though, is to just be out there so those people can start to know you exist. And that's the important piece. So yeah, let's squash that. All right, that's a wrap on this week's podcast. And just as last week, I really want to hear, what is it that stood out to you? What do you want to hear more of? What do you need the most? Because I am here 100% to support you to that next biggest vision and version of you. I do believe that for such a time as this, we are called forward to finally get rid of the things that have been holding us back, just like reins on a horse, and tap into the power that's available to you in your brain. Turn that success switch on and really start making progress toward that biggest and best and brightest version of you, that biggest and best and brightest calling that you have and the impact that you're meant to do in this world. That is what I have for you this week. We have continuing, just to remind you, I'm holding a weekly masterclass every single Thursday at noon Pacific. You do need to be registered for it. It is a Mindset Mastery Masterclass. We are breaking down how do we build a success switch in our brain? How do you finally get the reins off of you to go do the thing that you know you were called to do? Clear up unclearness. That's not even a word, but you know what I'm saying? Like, overcome the overwhelm, to finally be done with the procrastination and perfectionism, all those pieces that you know have been holding you back, and truly turn on that success switch and go make impact. All right, that's what I have for you this week. I will see you next week. And as always, I am going to be holding that masterclass every week. So make sure you get registered. The link is below, and I will see you next time on the Epic Success Podcast. Bye for now.